spirituality and selling and marketing and multi-level marketing, how do they come together? Well, first of all, since the time of Osho and before that, and even with Paramahansa Yoginanda, uh, there was an evident sales culture. And I think that's actually regional South Asian Indian culture more than it is religion or spirituality. Certainly, the yogic religions um, are not above capitalism and are not above making money, but they they go into businesses on their own and they put their heart into it. So the cookie cutter business um, is not really spiritual necessarily. But then you have to look at what you're doing with it. The products I sell are about lifestyle. And I became interested in network marketing since I was like 14 years old. And my mother uh, house sat for a couple that sold Shackley. And then later we went to a relive meeting. She was looking for ways to make money and be a stay-at-home mother. That's what she wanted to do. And she never went anywhere with it. So that's shows you where she is on the spectrum. It's not moral. It's not right livelihood. It's not worth anything. It's a scam. But I became interested again in this stuff when another security guard working with me offered me some gum, and I looked at the gum and it was like excess energy gum. I was like, energy gum, what's that? Does it have caffeine in it? Because I was looking for caffeinated gum, and it has vitamin B in it. It has B vitamins, so I think it's powered only by B vitamins. It might have caffeine, but it provides energy, and I found it to provide a clean energy. So I decided to sell. I said, you know what, you picked the right guy. I'm actually interested in this stuff. How do I sign on to become a distributor? And he refers me to his upline or his sponsor, and I attend a free class. And by the way, they have these classes all the time, and they do recruiting for us, but they also advance our knowledge. So the idea is that when I have enough money from work and all, I will potentially invest in the media and the training. Goes along with the lifestyle. Anyway, this all sounds like a bucket of lies. It sounds like hype, but I'm a heart-centered person. Okay, and granted, I have that Mick double chin this year that everyone has. It's been difficult, um, but there are options even within Amway. I could use their weight loss formulas. I could go on their diets. I could follow their advice because their advice is based on medicine and science, and it coincides with that. It's supportive to that. It's like supplemental, alternative medicine, but it's also full on nutrition products and full on science backed by doctors and nutritionists and scientists. So it sounds like a bunch of bullshit that I'm talking about these products I'm talking about, but you're taking it out of context. If you just go by uh, culture, you're listening to haters, because there's always been haters that don't believe in anything having to do with capitalism, or that think every business is immoral, or every business is bullshit, or every business is not according to Buddha, not according to uh, a higher path, a spiritual path. But I used to be very socially awkward, very socially impaired. And since spending the last year and a half or 2 years uh, investing myself into sales, I've increased my way in sales. I basically have a sales job now as an appointment setter. Um, I'm not saying I believe in the product. So even then, with the job, I believe in the product that I'm selling at the job less than I believe in the other product that I'm just beginning to see could sell. Something you believe in, something you've tried out. So I've tried their excess energy bars. I've tried their energy drinks. I've tried something called Slay the Day, which is one of their end products. N means Neutralite, and their end products are a line of, I would say, fun Neutralite supplements. But then the Neutralite supplements are focused on health. And when it comes to wellness and health, that's intrinsic in any spiritual path. So I'm not selling Shackley right now. I feel like Shackley or Relive might look the most spiritual in certain lights, but none of these things are spiritual. They're capitalistic, they're corporate, okay, and they have all these people in this chain of sponsorship that you don't necessarily want to back financially. I can't help that. I can't help um, who owns the company. Who, just like you can't help who shareholders are. If you run a little store and you have all these different snacks and all these different items, you can't control the shareholders. Like if I sell Quaker Oats, I can't control probably the Republicans that own the majority of the stock. But if you're going to sell these products, there has to be an ounce of human decency in you. I mean, in the beginning, there didn't have to be, so you could still be left over from uh, the 70s. You'd be pretty old, but you could be left over from the 70s when this stuff was bullshit and hype, and they just sold smoke and mirrors and a dream. Today, they actually sell decent lifestyle products that can promote results, whether it's losing weight or gaining muscle mass or improving your complexion or answering common folk ailments, problems with common folk ailments, like the scalp itch or even their laundry soap. I don't like their laundry soap so much. There's a cost-effective factor in their laundry soap, though, and they test their laundry soap out and try it for different waters and test it out and make it available for different markets and their water type in those countries and those markets. So they do their research. I just don't like the smell and the fragrance. I don't like detergents with fragrance in them. I think they have a non-fragrance or fragrance-free detergent. I just don't sell everything they have. But eventually, if you're going to do this, you will. They have a water treatment option. I think that's a lot closer to spring water than what I have now. I just use the zero filter. But I think this system, which costs like $1,000, is relatively good. It's a lifelong system. You have to change out the filter, but the filters aren't ridiculous money. And they last a while, like a year. I don't know, maybe a year. And so they have an air purifier. I don't recommend that over something you would buy cheaper, like at Costco. But um, I can't say this is entirely a scam. I can't say it is entirely against the Buddha. I can't say it's entirely against yogic religions. Yogic religions, for a while, have been involved with the culture of sales and marketing, which is inherent in India. Trading, being a peddler, being a merchant. Um, as an individual business owner, you're also a product consultant, but they call them IBOs, independent business owner. You're You're selling the dream for making and saving money. Yes, but you're focusing on probably, hopefully, saving money, and you're focusing on the results. Because if you focus on making money, you're selling hype. Because you're not going to make anything for a year plus. Um, Anybody in the organization uh, will tell you the same thing. You're not. This is not um, a job replacement. Not right off the bat, but I could see where it could be if you talk to the right people. Um, but you have to know about the lines that you sell, and you have to know about their effect on lifestyle. So you have to approach people who want to live that green life, that spiritual life. So they're the ones that are going to be responsive to that. Yogis, people who do exercise, people who are healthy, who hike. And you're not going to bring this up on a hike. That's the gayest thing ever. Uh, Sorry about the reference. I'm from Boston. Still got a few crass references that I use, but anyway, I don't mean to offend anybody. But you're not going to bring that up on a hike. You're not going to say, "Oh, look at this energy bar. You want to try one of my energy bars?" Unless you don't know the people. It just at work. At work is probably the best place to do it. I was approached at work with the gum. Tried the B12 gum. It gave me energy and whatnot, and I bought into the opportunity. Of course, as might have mentioned, like, so here's the short-term memory loss, and that's weed, and there's probably nothing spiritual about weed either. So if I'm just smoking weed all the time, you don't need to listen to me. But if it makes sense, and weed does sometimes make sense, uh, then there it is. If it's just what not to do and what not to become, if it's a toxic year for me, then that will be apparent in years to come. But not entirely without use of some of these products to become better, to become cleaner. If I wanted to clean my mind and cleanse my body, I'm sure they have products to do that. If I wanted to increase my muscle mass, I already told you they do have supplements for that. If I wanted to lose weight, they do have a whole program for weight loss. But you kind of have to have money to buy their stuff. And that's where it gets difficult because you're supposed to be able to make money selling it. And you have to put yourself out there in the right position, in the right opportunity. You have to be a member of maybe clubs, and what my sponsors do is they approach people in stores and they recommend products that are similar that we have, that might have cost advantages against the other products and might be better than the other product. And these are alternative lifestyle products. They're going to be largely that. Like I said, with the laundry detergent, there's a fragrance in there. Um, it it's similar to other shit you would buy in a store. Tide, for example, um, but it does come in a much bigger bulk container dispenser, and there's things that are competitive about it. Anyway, I guess the whole thing is, am I am I disillusioning myself? Am I doing anything to harm my connection with Great Spirit, with Mother Earth, with the planet, with God and Goddess, the life force, the universal law, or the Tao by selling this? Am I making myself dead? Am I choosing to be morally dead and morally inept when I sell these things, or when I buy these things to try them out, to eventually sell them? The questions are raised. So some part of my consciousness has that idea that that's not of the light. That's not being authentic with yourself, dude. That's not being real. That's not being a real person. Um, in some ways, though, I wouldn't be here at the level I'm at with a sales job and going into possibly a bigger sales job that really does offer six-figure potential, that's based on having a license and selling life insurance and everything. Uh, so I'm climbing up the ladder, and I already have a job that's mostly sales, scheduling, and I believe in what I sell at home more than what I sell for work, even though I work at home. Um, Eventually, can this replace my income? From seeing others do it, from seeing that couple sell Shackley, and that's all they did, and they paid for a nice house in the countryside, and from seeing others do that, I know that you can make a living in sales, and network marketing is a sector of sales that you can make money in. Is it real? Does it feel real? Does it feel authentic? No, not really, and not all the time, right? I don't want to sell shit. I don't want to talk about brands or branding outside of when I'm enlightened. If I were the Buddha, there is no brand for the Buddha, right? The Buddha can't really have commercial interests and be the Buddha. But you didn't know about his commercial interests. I'm sure after a while, Prince Siddhartha wanted to be a prince again. And I believe the story goes that he did eventually go back into royalty. So he wouldn't have done it without being a merchant. He wouldn't have done it without having a business of some sort. Maybe the business was his school, where he wrote the teachings of the Buddha, where he taught them in the nature of Plato or Aristotle. Right? He had a school like that. He had an ashram like that. And thankfully he did, because he started a very important philosophy and a very foundational one. The Taoist school of thought had similar beings. Lao Tzu probably wasn't real, but if he was, and maybe he is somewhere, he would have had a similar life to the Buddha. So, I don't know. Does it feel like it's soulless, that you're throwing your soul away, or that you're dying a solar death, or that your soul is going to die, or that you're going to hell for the rest of infinity for doing this, for spreading lies, for prophesying bullshit? I don't believe that's the case either. Everybody's got to have a living. What is a right living? What is right livelihood? The laws of man describe some of what right livelihood should be, and in my opinion, that's accurate. Like prostitution, illicit drugs, robberies, all prohibited. Gambling, prohibited. I, as an American, I have some of that gambling culture, and I'm willing to take a risk and a gamble. But I don't condone gambling. I don't spread gambling. I don't even go to casinos. So I think there's something to be said about what all the traditions together hold as righteous. Of course, you hear the Bible blasting. This comes from the Bible, which is hilarious because I'm not a Christian, but that's in our American culture, unfortunately. So it's already in the American culture, and it's as American as apple pie and all that shit. Even though I'm half Jewish and legally Jewish according to my mother being Jewish, and I wear the yarmulke in order to focus more and get the evil eye away from me and uh, show my uh, show my vision, my line of vision, only to God, right? Not to um, some type of wicked heathens or something. And I've been hijacked by them. And we'll have to talk more about that later. This is not about that. But even with curses and hexes against you, oh, Jesus, this is sounding pretty religious now, right? And the Tao encompasses all things, right? I am a Taoist just as much as I'm a Buddhist. The Tao encompasses all things. So, getting back to the point, would I do this stuff? Would I sell? No. If I was the Buddha, if I was enlightened, would I sell? No. I would teach things more like strict Buddhism. Once I finally get my act together and start reading more academically and read the scriptures of the Buddha and the Dharma, not only postmodern Dharma, but also the classical Dharma. So, do I want to be associated with any brands? No, I don't think the Buddha did either, or he would have started something like Ananda, right? But if he started Ananda, it would have fallen by the wayside. It would have just been an organization the last 100 years or so, and then it's gone. Ananda's still pretty big, and they're still influential, and they make a lot of money. But they're also a nonprofit, and they also have reasonable rates, and they also teach Dharma, their version of Dharma, which is a yogic religion, according to Paramahansa Yoginanda, basically based on his life, the autobiography of a yogi. And incidentally, that couple that sold Shaklee were believers in him as well. So from my upbringing, I can say this is with me for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. It's helped me develop my soft skills and my sales skills and come out of my shell and stop being so rigidly awkward, and I had really bad social anxiety. But the more you pursue sales, the further you go in sales, you're exposed to people. You might work in a call center at some point like I do, even though it's a virtual call center, and you might get attached to some of these schemes. They're not pyramid schemes. They are schemes, they are plans, they are incentivized pricing schemes and selling schemes with a schedule, with a commission schedule and a saving schedule, like a scheme. But as far as them being Ponzi's or pyramid schemes or something illegal, no, they wouldn't still be around. They do get busted. Just like if they bust those Nigerian schemes, I guarantee you they bust the ones in the United States too, where you send people money orders or something, or some bullshit from the internet. This is not that. It may have been that in the 70s. It will never be that again. This is a publicly traded organization. It is held accountable. It even has an Indian president. He's of Indian descent. His last name is Pant. What's his first name? Off the top of my head, I don't know people's first names very well or very often, but President Pant is the CEO. So Um, he's doubtlessly he has some of this culture in his background. He's probably as spiritual as any Indian person or person of Indian descent innately is, because they do have that heritage. They do have that claim. The Buddha was from India, and all of the scholars I mentioned and yogis I mentioned are from India. So he must have asked himself these things, right? Anybody would. That's a spiritualist. That's on a spiritual path. Um, but he's okay with it. He makes his living as the number one salesman for Amway, right? He realizes that scientific foundation is there. They care about people. They have a mission, and with people like that controlling the situation, you won't have recidivism. You won't have companies being morally bankrupt and run by the few at the top. They'll be for a purpose and for a cause, and they'll also be nonprofit in many cases. I would say a company like Amway can't be nonprofit and survive, but it could be, right? For example, if the Himalayan International Institute opened up a franchise where they had they had people, member participants or distributors sell their magazines, right, and their films, their how to education, um, they could do it, but it's not like that. It's a nonprofit, and what is the nonprofits aren't about that, right? So all of this exists together. Um, does it make me a fake or a sellout or a phony or morally bankrupt? There's got to be that component in there, in the eyes of spirit, of grandfather spirit, of the creator, of God, because it comes down and it comes through my mouth, because I'm trying to be true to myself. I'm trying to be heart spoken. I try to speak from the heart. So I don't think indigenous tribes are being massacred over this stuff in business. You do have to be aware of politics. I know that the fuel and oil and natural gas industry is definitely affecting the rights and lives of primarily Canadian indigenous tribes, but also other native tribes, even Alaskan and in the U.S. It's fortunate that I guess I don't have a car anymore for that reason. I don't have to participate in that petroleum cycle as much. But yeah, I'm authentic. I tell it like it is. I must go through this stuff, because if this is not sustainable, I better get out of it before it's too late. What would the grandchildren say? What would the grandfathers say? But in both cases, current grandchildren and current grandfathers would both be after sales, money, exchange, products, mercantilism, and trade. Trade isn't going to go away. We're not going to go back to the Stone Age. We're not going to lose everything. We're not going to destroy everything, provided we team together like the vision I'm talking about, which is green business and eco business and socialism. And if we team up together and work together, things will be sustainable. So far, they're doing that at Amway. They're coming together, deciding what price points they'll sell at, what products they'll sell, and they try to get sustainable sources from around the world. But then the Buddha comes in and says, I can't become a poster boy for some bullshit. And then you know the rest. We have to counter the flow. So um, you can see I'm not very materialistic. I have all this junk. It's 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 I think a good selection. It appeals to the eye, but it's just junk from what I had available, and it's all mixed together. And this stuff is not going to cost $1 billion to have this stuff. This is sustainable, socialized type of stuff. My own art that I drew myself, shabby, small apartments, and whatever wall covering, whatever I could gather to make it look good, to have a crib, have a habitat for myself, and it shows I'm not that materialistic. So we're going to go the other way with it. We've talked enough about sales and everything. Where does it take you in life? It takes you to leadership, and then leadership takes you to enlightenment and beyond. Because what is a leader but a philosopher, but a person who thinks about these things, about sustainability, about what's going to happen next in life? It's what's going to happen next is basically what's been happening. It's just going to happen and happen and happen. Trade, transactions, money, food, sex, drugs, all of it recycled and recycled and recycled. The same criminals, the same heinous acts. Hopefully, we're at a plateau with crime because we can't go much further as a society if we have murderers and rapists and robbers and thieves and pillagers take over everything. If they decide to blow us up, we're done. We're very vulnerable, the rest of the population, against people who perpetrate crimes and people who mean harm. But it's a cycle. It will go back to the reset. We are in trouble because of moral decay. We are in trouble because of people having their heads up their ass and doing things to destruct the planet. I would say my day job is more destructive to the planet. Selling liposuction is more destructive to the planet than the other things I'm mentioning. And that's always the worst, that you can't control your day job. And your day job is what pays the bills, but only for a minute. And then it starts making the other stuff look good. The other stuff look like it has a purpose, because it does have a purpose to provide for me, to create a living, so that I can, keep this shabby but adequate roof over my head, so I can advance in leadership, so I can see if I can become a politician, so that I can see if I can become a green or socialist or a Democrat, that I can get into politics, into the political system, and start reducing the harm that's happening. Start making reparations to the world and its people. Start, looking for universal health care, universal income, all that stuff. So we have to make money for a cause and a purpose and all that, blah, blah, blah. Now the divine is going to take over, I think, going into the direction of be authentic. Look for authentic self in everything you do. Look for your heart in everything you do. I'm not gonna be selling Amway all my life. I may keep it as a side income. It may be because people will be at the bottom where I am now, and if not afforded this opportunity, may not ever make it to the rest. But if I'm in the White House, living in the White House rent free, on your tax dollars, I'm not going to be talking about anything to do with my personal life. Even if I write a book about my dad, I'm not going to talk about the book during public time. I'm not going to go into my account all the time and see how much money I'm making at it without starting a foundation, a nonprofit, to give back to the community. All right? So it's really about community, togetherness. Spirituality is, everything is, life is. But spirituality especially is. So with that, I think I've had enough about talking about multi-level marketing. I think you can see where I stand with it, and hopefully you do, and you see that's just a means to an end. And once you get there to the end, you wonder if you'd be so focused on it ever again. Probably not. You'd be more concerned with bigger and better things, more concerned with the next projects rather than the next product. You'd be more concerned with the next project, the next law, the next bill to pass to save the environment. The environment is going to decay against all odds because of the antagonism. We're not going to be able to control it overnight, but we can gather together as a people and do everything that the law provides for, and everything that group effort and socialist effort and sacrifice and um, campaigns to make people aware will do for the environment. So there is hope. It's against all odds, and it's going to be a fight, but it's there. And I think the business opportunities and the jobs like that are good jobs if they're, especially in the green business sector, which isn't fully there and fully developed yet, which is another reason why uh, this older generation stuff still appeals and still works. But beyond that, yeah, the God force is coming through. It's all about being authentic, doing what your heart wants, which will always include nature. If you're spiritual, going out into nature is second nature. You're going to want to do it all the time. So position yourself accordingly. And that's why I'm talking about money, because it takes money to get there, even to get into the forest or to live in the forest. It takes money. So I've talked about all those things. It's all, I guess, coming together, and it comes together as the human individual. And it's your inner riches that you have gained and earned through all your jobs and through all your life, through whatever businesses you do. And it goes back to the Creator, too. We worship the Creator until the cows come home. And the best way to do that is to resemble the Creator. And the best way to do that probably is to shut up when it's time to shut up. Again, I've spoken for about the length of time that people would watch, and I hope it wasn't too much trouble for you. The way this is filmed, it's kind of cheesy. I didn't use the nice camera. I didn't set it up, and I can't look at the camera straight because of the way the phone is. And if you film sideways on a phone, you're not going to look straight into the camera without making funny, goofy eye movements. I've talked your ear off. I've talked my ass off. That's about all the hoity-toity bullshit that I can come up with for now.